If you've been a Sonic fan for any length of time, you might have seen or heard about these two schmucks, Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. Newer fans will know them from the Encore DLC for Sonic Mania, which made them playable characters for the first time in over 25 and 23 years respectively. If you've played Generations, you might have seen this wanted poster in the classic Sonic half of City Escape, showing pictures of Mighty and Ray with "missing since 1993" in big bold letters. This actually isn't 100% accurate, as Mighty did appear in Knuckles Chaotix as a playable character in 1995. Unfortunately, this smug son of a bitch hasn't gotten any kind of love at all after his initial appearance, other than Mania, and even then, he's arguably the worst character to play in that game. He's allegedly gonna be in some new mobile Sonic game according to some leaks, but who cares? I remember back when mobile games were placed at the absolute bottom tier of video games. Sega has really been pushing Sonic on mobile with exclusive releases. Hell, the best versions of Sonic 1 and 2 were mobile exclusive for almost a decade. Fans have just kinda known these characters as another set of Sonic's weird, obscure friends from a 90s game that maybe sometimes got a reference in the Archie comics. And yes, that title is surprisingly applicable to a lot of Sonic characters. Well, I say a lot, but it's really just like 5 or 6, but that's still a weird number of characters that you could apply that to. Mighty and Ray first appeared in SEGASONIC the Hedgehog, released in Japanese arcades in 1993. The game was released in very limited quantities in the West, and by limited, I mean the only way you can actually go and play it in the US that I'm aware of is at Galloping Ghosts Arcade in Chicago. And I know my ass ain't going to Chicago just to play an obscure Sonic game, so I just emulate. SEGASONIC is actually one of the harder Sonic games to emulate though, due to its weird-ass trackball control scheme. Yeah, for some reason only known to our lords and saviors at Sonic Team, they decided to use a trackball for movement, Golden Tee style. This is why the game hasn't been included in any collections at all. Yuji Naka said that they wanted to include SEGASONIC in Sonic Gems collection alongside Sonic the Fighters, but couldn't figure out how to translate the trackball controls to a normal controller at the time. It's honestly not that hard if you're willing to fuck with it a bit, but I can see why they considered it too much of a headache to port. There is a certain lack of precision even when you get a controller to work, so they probably decided it just wasn't up to standard. Sadly, arcades in Japan are dying a slow and painful death due to people generally not having the time or giving enough of a shit to go to arcades anymore. So ways to play this game authentically are sadly becoming harder and harder to find. If you're in Japan at any point and come across this game, definitely give it a go, because you might not have a whole hell of a lot of time to do so. It's a really short game. It has 7 stages, but they're mostly comprised of set pieces that go by pretty fast. So altogether it takes maybe 20-30 minutes to get through, even if you're taking your time. The music is pretty neat, and initially I thought this was the first Sonic game to have any kind of spoken dialogue, which you can hear from Eggman every once in a while you're playing the stages. But the title of first Sonic game to feature spoken dialogue actually belongs to another arcade game, Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car, released in 1991.
やあ、みんなこんにちは。俺の名前はソニック。俺の仕事は悪い奴を捕まえること。つまり、おまわりさんってわけさ。早速今日も街の平和を守るためパトロールにファイ！
Altogether, SEGASONIC the Hedgehog is okay. It's not a must-play, but if you have the ability to emulate it, I recommend it. It's a neat piece of Sonic history and should get some appreciation for introducing Mighty and Ray, as inconsequential as those two may seem these days. I wish I had more to say about it, but other than what I've already mentioned, I don't think it's particularly noteworthy. It has an isometric point of view. That's pretty cool, I guess. But that's not where the history of SEGASONIC stops. You may have been asking yourself,
why the hell is he called
SEGASONIC?
Anyway?
Back in December of 1990, way before Sonic 1's release, Sega filed a trademark for the name Sonic, but as any wayward anime visionary will know, Japanese copyright law is a goddamn draconian nightmare. Seriously, if you think getting copyright claimed on a YouTube upload is bad, in Japan they'll straight up fine or arrest your ass just for using a screenshot from an anime episode. At the time in Japan, trademark filings could take years, and years they did take in Sega's case. Because of all this legal ruckus, Sega presumably felt uncomfortable using the name Sonic outside of their home console titles, which they already owned the rights to. But around the same time, another Japanese publisher named Taito released an arcade game called Sonic Blastman, which cemented the fact that Sega needed to come up with some way to safely put Sonic in the public headspace outside of the home console stuff. That's where SEGASONIC was born, just to really let you know that this was Sega's Sonic. This is why other Sonic arcade games of the time, including UFO machines, had the SEGASONIC moniker, SEGASONIC Popcorn Shop being a notable example because it was actually made to celebrate Batato Chizo Nogi, which translates to Day of Butter and Cheese, a holiday surrounding the legend of a mantis-esque yokai who brought fresh popcorn to the young children of Kyoto during the summer solstice. Sounds crazy, right? Yeah, it's because I made it up. But if you are a Sonic fan, it's likely you have heard of the arcade game. I mean, it's not so obscure that it hasn't been talked about by numerous different YouTubers at this point. What less people have heard about, though, is how the legal stuff affected merchandise too. Like, all of it. If there was a piece of Sonic merch released in Japan from 1991 until 1996, it definitely had the SEGASONIC name on it at some point, including but not limited to things like pencils and pencil cases, bookmarks, LCD games, clothing, nail clippers, pens, notebooks, erasers, bags and backpacks, floppy disk labels. Fucking floppy disk labels. There's way more Sonic merch than what can be fit into the scope of a single video, so I highly recommend checking out sonicgear.org. They have an insane collection of images and insight into all the different Sonic merch that's out there, and has been going on for a really long time. Seriously, I've read this site a lot over the years, and I still find new insane shit every time I look. I may be a dirty Sonic freak, but I had to learn it from somewhere. One thing on the site that interested me was the phone cards. If you don't know, phone cards, specifically in Japan, are little prepaid cards that allow you to pay for telephone-related services. Payphones are more widely used in Japan still for things like emergencies, stuff like earthquakes, so we actually have quite a few Sonic ones, but the ones I'm interested in are the SEGASONIC phone cards. This one features what could very well be one of the earliest 3D renders of Sonic. It's a pretty damn good render given how old it is, though the date isn't easily verifiable. Everything I find online says 1991, which does match the copyright date on the card, but it features a logo that I believe wasn't used until 1997 based on what I could find, so it's cool regardless, considering most other renders from Sonic around this time look like, thank God Eggman likes my style. I was scared he might judge me. This one's my favorite. Born in 1947 but made for the 90s. People like to argue about the Sonic timeline, but fail to mention this obviously canon bombshell. It's one of the many examples of the weird-ass quotes Japanese Sonic media would have back then, like the more famous quote on the Japanese cover of Sonic 2. Don't just sit there and waste your precious time. When you want to do something, do it right away. Do it when you can. It's the only way to live a life without regrets. Fuck yes, Sonic, you tell him. There's a ton of obscure Japanese stuff that Sonic's been plastered on. Like I said, it's way more than a single video can include without being like 8 hours long. So I'm gonna shift the focus to something I'm a lot more knowledgeable on. Sonic has had a ton of plush sets over the 30 plus years that he's been around, so it's not like Sonic plushes are particularly groundbreaking. Like, holy shit, there's a plush toy of Sonic? But I think it's fun to go back and look at some of the more interesting sets in Sonic history, such as the first official plush set, which released in UFO Machines in 1991. This set features a very unique Sonic with his stringy arms and legs and shoes that are just two pieces of felt glued together. Fans started calling him Stringy Sonic for obvious reasons. I really like this look. I think it captures the energy of his sprite in Sonic 1 really well. The rest of the set just consists of the animals from the game and Eggman, who is similarly scrinkly looking. Yeah, Sonic didn't really have a whole lot of characters or world building to turn into plushes at the time, so this is the best we got. They eventually released an updated version of the set, and I use quotes on updated because Sonic is really the only one who got a meaningful upgrade outside of a size increase. Here he gets much beefier limbs and hard plastic shoes instead of just the two glued together felt pieces. Ironically, despite the felt feeling a lot cheaper, you're more likely to find the updated version missing either one or both feet entirely. The hard plastic shoes get detached a lot easier, or I would assume because these things, like almost all Sonic merch from this time, are insanely expensive now, and I can't justify spending damn near 150 bones on a single plush. This set got another update in 1992. This one has Sonic with a big shit-eating grin, and another one that's giving you the finger. There was even a Christmas variant of the set. They fucking love this thing. They made a kart racing version of it too. Here's Sonic and Tails in some cute festival attire. And here's the first Amy plush from a set released in 1994. I could go on and on. I started collecting Sonic plushes a few years ago, though my collection is very small. Something about plushes specifically fits really well with the franchise itself, and I love looking at them. It just sucks that they're so damn expensive. Sega eventually won all that trademark bullshit in 1996, but chose to keep using the name SEGASONIC on products until Sonic Adventure released in 1998, which may seem like a weird choice considering they had the name Sonic in their gross, clammy legal clutches now. But brand consistency is really important, and they probably felt like changing it so suddenly would have thrown people off or something, so Sonic Adventure gave them a good excuse since it was completely changing the brand image anyway. I kinda wish they kept the SEGASONIC name around. It's so bizarre and a much bigger part of the franchise's history than I think a lot of people are aware of. Obviously, the main branch of merch should just be called Sonic or some shit, but I don't know. I think SEGASONIC is a cute little oddity that deserves some love. Once again, I'd like to direct you towards Sonic Gear and the Sonic Wiki. They're the real chads at keeping all this Sonic info accessible. I'm just a messenger. I wouldn't have nearly as much encyclopedic knowledge of this blue bastard without having these resources throughout the years. I'd like to end this video with some grand statement about the brand as a whole, but to be honest, I suck ass at that, so instead I'll just say it's pretty cool.